Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask an Assistant, the podcast for executive assistants and the people that love us. I'm your host, Jess Lindgren. Let's get to work. Today, esteemed colleague Abby asks, how do I fully unplug from work over the holidays? Abby, I thank you so much for asking this question. Anybody listening, if you have a question of your own, I would love to hear from you. AskAnAssistant.com. Lay your comments, questions, thoughts, and concerns on me. How to unplug over the holidays? Short answer, it's a practice. It's one that I have been personally working on my entire career. A longer answer, it takes discipline all year long, which builds into the entire span of time that you spend at any given company, which in turn builds into your entire career. It was honestly a bit easier to fully unplug when I started my career as an administrative professional about 20 years ago. Most people didn't have smartphones, and if they did, they certainly did not use them the same way that we do today. Plus, it was a big deal to have access to your email away from the office. You might be issued a company-issued laptop, or if you did not have a company-issued laptop, you had to have something like Microsoft Exchange, I think, was the thing. So, I remember getting special permission from IT and having to be at home, logged on to the internet, have them connect to my computer, set it up. I just remember it being this whole big thing to be able to have access to it at home. My exec traveled a lot, and he would never ask me for things when he was on the road. I could walk in, I knew that they would be gone for however many days because I planned and booked the trip. And they took this trip several times a year, same place, same location, same flights. And they would never need me for anything. So I would roll my desk phone over to my cell phone, sleep in, check email from home first thing when I woke up, and then just kind of make a leisurely way from my downtown apartment to my downtown office to work a shortened day when they were out of town, honestly. So it was a lot easier to unplug. It was actually, you had to really try to check your work email away from the office, depending. I'm sure that there are plenty of exceptions to what I'm about to say and even what I just said about it being hard to check your email away from the office. But in my experience, which I do want to say as a disclaimer for pretty much the entirety of this podcast, like any episode that you've listened to, I am only an expert in my own experience. I do not claim nor pretend to have all the answers or solution to everything. These are just my thoughts and my experiences, and I really hope that folks find them helpful, and clearly you do because you are listening. Hi, hello, esteemed colleagues. It is wonderful to have you here. But anyway, in my experience, most people could leave work at work. If they were bringing anything home, it might be physical files to work on, maybe some documents or spreadsheets if they had a company-issued laptop, or save whatever was due Monday that quote unquote couldn't wait to like a thumb drive and bring things home to work on their personal computers. I'm just imagining a whole field of red flags flapping in the wind, thinking about the blurred lines between personal and professional equipment back in those days. But you made do with whatever equipment and services you had available to you. Today, in today's world, 2024, late 2024, peering at 2025 in the near distance, I would never do anything personal on a work device and vice versa. But that's a different topic for a different day. As technology progressed, so did the expectation of being available at any given time. Again, I'm sure there are exceptions to this. There were plenty of people from the dawn of time until I started my professional career in the early 2000s. Plenty of people that were exceptions to this, but you really could just leave work at work. I worked at an amusement park in college, I can't take the log chute home with me. Like it was much easier. Also, depending on where you work, what industry you work in, whatnot. Even today, there are certainly people that can leave work at work. But again, 20 years ago, it was much easier to do so. I also remember the first couple of times that I was actually given a work issued laptop or phone. Like it's super exciting and it's super fun. You get to unbox that shiny new MacBook, and Apple puts a lot of care and thought into their packaging, and you open it up and you get it all set up with all of your preferences and whatnot. And then the reality of having a work issued device sets in when emails, direct messages, chat requests, and text messages are just pouring in at any given time. Yeah, I personally, getting back to the question of how to actually unplug, I personally learned to fully unplug when I started my fractional EA business in 2014. My husband would ask me to sit and watch an episode or two of Veronica Mars. It was a show that I had never seen, but he really loved. And he would always like double and triple check with me. Are you sure it's okay? You're not too busy? I'm sure you have other things you could be doing or that you want to be doing. And I'm just like, no, I want to take time away from client work. Like I was so lucky at the time to have steady client work. And even if I didn't have steady client work, my then boyfriend, now husband, owned our Minneapolis home. He had a good job and could have sustained us financially for a while, like not indefinitely. And certainly during the first few months of running my business, we definitely scaled back on some stuff. Like I remember having a very frank conversation about, okay, I'm starting this company. I might not make any money for 1 to 18 months. Who knows? But he could have fully sustained the two of us financially for a while without me bringing in any money at all. But when it comes to unplugging, like I know there will always be more work, whether it's work from a full-time job, whether it's work from clients, even when work is fun, even when the business that you started or the startup that you joined is doing well, you're feeling super successful and productive, you're getting things done, you're landing new clients, you're getting new funding for the startup that you're a part of. You know, even when you feel like you're making more money than you ever have before, whether it is that funding, whether it's raising your rates as a freelancer, there's always going to be more to do. And especially if you're running your own business, there's admin that you like administration of the business that you weren't responsible for before. There's contracts, there's invoicing, there's running your own healthcare. Like there's just so much more. And it doesn't matter whether it's a full-time job, a part-time job, a contract thing, like there's always more to do. And this is going to sound a little bleak, but if you drop dead tomorrow, your to-do list might shrink a little bit. Like, you know, the outstanding items on your list, like if they're important enough, someone will pick up the pieces and make sure that it gets done. It's super bleak, but it's true. A friend of mine and their spouse, they spent their 30s working multiple jobs, aggressively paying down their mortgage. And then my friend's spouse died of cancer when they were in their early 40s. Like my friend told me that they would give anything to get back those days in their 30s with their spouse and do literally anything other than pay off the house. You know, like hindsight is 2020, and we all have our own reasons for working however many jobs it is that we have to or need to or want to work. We all have our reasons for taking time off or not taking time off or aggressively paying down a debt or whatever. But just, you know, them saying that they would really love to get that time back, because I was doing really well with my business and it felt incredible. But I also know that getting the time spent snuggling on the couch, watching a TV show, taking a weekend trip, or just even dancing in the aisles at IKEA or in your kitchen while you make dinner with the person that you love, like that's priceless. I can always get more client work, or at least always try to get more client work, but I can't get that time back. So even though I definitely could have done more, and could have done more faster in those days, so this would have been 2014 to 2016, I wouldn't trade the time I spent with my then boyfriend, now husband, for the world. And what fully unplugging means to me as a practice, like these are just kind of the highlights of the pillars of the practice, if you will. Setting expectations for internal and external parties with a combination of advanced knowledge and your autoresponder. That's super important. Uninstall the mail app from your phone if you can. If you can't uninstall the mail app, log out of everything that you can. If it's too much of a hassle to log out of things, at the very least, turn off notifications for everything and anything that you can. And in an ideal world, you just close your laptop and walk away, honestly. Like we just got back a couple weeks ago from a week spent in Miami, and I kind of wish I would have left my laptop at home because I literally did not open it for 5 days, and it was great. So putting a little flesh on the outline of those headers, if you will, setting expectations ahead of time, like especially for our internal team, our accountant, our legal team, and at the moment, my executives book launch team. These are all folks that have definitely a vested interest in knowing when we will be out of the office, when we will not be monitoring email, especially legal and accounting, because there are definitely some end of year deadlines. And by just saying starting in early December, so like the first week of December, I started to preface everything with, hey, if you have time sensitive stuff coming up, it's got to be done by December 19th. We are going to be out of the office December 20th through January 7th, not checking email. Our break for me and my executive is a bit longer than some folks' breaks, as we definitely go by my executive's kids' school schedule for holiday breaks. But this year also my executive is going to be traveling quite a bit over the holidays and into the first 3 weeks of January, honestly. So setting those expectations early and giving key stakeholders, just reminding folks like, hey, here is my cell phone. If you need something urgent between December 20th and January 7th, you're going to have to call me. Keeping all those people in the loop is so critical, and it's going to be different for every business. You know who the people are that need to know how to get a hold of you. And even my personal email account out of office message, I'm actually just pulling it up right now. Hey friend, just wanted to let you know your email was safely received. Gal Friday 612 is closed through mid-January. We will be back in action by January 15th, 2025. It is entirely possible your message will not be responded to until February. So if you have an urgent request, please contact us via phone. If it's truly urgent, you already have the number. So just setting expectations with people. Again, that was for my personal email account, not for my full-time job email account. Setting that expectation with advanced knowledge and your out of office message. I always send a message with a realistic but slightly longer runway than I need. So telling people I'm out of the office for like a month, like December 15th to January 15th. My full-time job out of office message says that I'm back on the 7th of January, but you might not hear back from me until the week of the 13th. We observe a 4-day work week. We're only going to be in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of that first week. Yes, because the first full week of January starts. Okay. Anyway, we'll only be in the office 3 days, the week of the 6th. And then we'll have a 4-day regular work week the following week. I think it's super reasonable to expect that I might not get back to everybody who emails us from December 20th to January 7th in the span of 3 business days. So just, again, setting those expectations, whether it's through advanced knowledge or your out of office responder or a combination thereof, really does a lot to help you be able to unplug. I personally like to uninstall the email app from my phone. I only have a personal cell phone, and I am super grateful for that at this time. I know we talked about phones in an early episode. I don't have my editorial calendar pulled up, but I want to say it was like episode 6 or something, like super early, where I talked about wanting a work phone. I am presently not an office manager. I'm not in the office. I'm not fielding a ton of phone calls every day. I presently use 2 apps for work. I use Slack and email. I don't need a second cell phone. I don't need a desk phone for 2 apps. So for me personally, I just uninstall the mail app from my phone. For anybody who is not able to uninstall the app from either a phone or a computer, for whatever reason, maybe IT won't let you, maybe it's too annoying to uninstall and reinstall things. At the very least, log out if you can. Resist the temptation to make your usual digital rounds. Log out of everything that you can. Email, Slack, probably Teams. I don't use Teams, but I use Slack, and I think they're pretty similar from talking with my husband. Anything else, just log out of it if you can. Google Drive, I just noticed this last week, started pushing notifications to my phone through the chat app. Like, that's another spot where I'm going to have to tweak some permissions, because I do not need people pinging me for like document permissions or comments as something in my chat app. Like, I don't need that. At the very, very least, log out if you can. And this is how I like to set up my email. I have it set to fetch instead of push, where you have to open the email app and like let it refresh, go to fetch the mail instead of just letting it push new messages to you all the time. I like to turn off email sounds and vibrations. That has been off for over 10 years for me. Like, it just does not work to get pings throughout any given day, like day or night, especially for the volume of spam that I receive and need to block and delete and unsubscribe from. I don't need pings and vibrations on my nightstand overnight. I just don't. I, at least 5 years ago, maybe longer, turned off the little number. I have an iPhone, and it will tell you the number of unread messages that you have. And I have like 4 email accounts logged in on my phone. I don't need the combined total from 4 separate email accounts telling me how many unread messages I have. That's how I operate my email 24/7, 365. It has cut my stress by like 50% just turning off the unread number. Just immediately, I felt this huge weight just like melt off my shoulders. Inside Slack for sure. Probably in Teams. Again, I don't use Teams, so I don't 100% know. But for sure inside Slack, you can set yourself as away and or snooze notifications. This is somewhere that I personally struggle. I have never uninstalled, turned off, or snoozed Slack. And the reason why is because I have very successfully trained my executive to exclusively message me in Slack. So doesn't matter when it is, where I'm at in the world, where he's at in the world. If something truly urgent pops up, even during a holiday or a vacation, Slack is where it's going to come in. And those of us that are executive assistant, you just know that there's always going to be something, no matter how hard you try. It just is the nature of the job. I am so lucky that my executive very much respects time off, and we both ping each other when we're out of the office extremely sparingly. So like if something does come through, there's a really good reason for it. In an ideal world, you wouldn't have to do anything more than shut your laptop and not open it again until the day that you're set to be back in the office. Like, it just saves you so many steps. I really love having a work laptop and a personal laptop for this reason. I just close my work laptop, stick it in my podcast closet, and don't look at it again until it's time to come back to work. Like I said, I am absolutely guilty of not uninstalling Slack from my phone, and I'm okay with that. Like, that is the one little tie to work that, like, if something truly, truly urgent comes up, my executive knows, we've been together almost 11 years now and worked across continents from each other, across multiple time zones. We know that we will be there for each other when we need each other, and Slack is the place that we're going to do that. I fully acknowledge and so appreciate what a privileged position I am in. I am an executive assistant. My executive pays me very well, enforces and lives for himself by a 4-day work week, Monday through Thursday. He encourages and respects work-life balance. I can step away for walks, yoga classes. I have auntie days now with all 3 of my sister's kids. I have a little chunk of time after school with each kid once a week, and it is the absolute best. And I have the freedom and flexibility to do that because my work always gets done. Doesn't have to be a strict 9 to 5 days sitting at my desk in an office with somebody breathing down my neck. Like, we've built a very strong, trusting relationship and good work-life balance. And whenever I'm out of office for whatever reason, my executive he steps up and handles like the on fire stuff in my absence. Like, the email inbox is my domain when I'm in the office, and he knows that if I need to step away for any reason, I've been injured a couple times this year, thankfully very much on the mend, spending time with my nieces and nephews, going to doctor appointments, traveling. Like, he gets it, and he steps up and takes care of things, and anything that's not mission critical, he knows that can wait. I truly wish that for every single person on the face of this earth, and personally think it's ridiculous that it is 2024 and we still haven't figured this out. Like, I thought technology was supposed to make our lives easier and our work days shorter. Like, wasn't even the invention of the dishwasher supposed to free up a bunch of time? Washers and dryers? Wasn't the internet and computers, they're not supposed to make us have longer days and more days, and just things were supposed to get easier, and it absolutely breaks my heart that that's not the case. So here's hoping for a better 2025 and beyond. Wrapping things up for the episode, talking about unplugging, here is what we covered today. Unplugging as a practice. You're going to set expectations for internal and external parties. Uninstall the mail app from your phone if you can. If you can't uninstall the app, it's too annoying, IT won't let you, whatever, log out. At the very least, log out if you can't delete apps. If you can't log out, it's too much of a hassle. My husband, he has a couple of things that have really ridiculous password requirements and like password recovery requirements. And sometimes it is too annoying to log out. I get that. At the very least, if you can't log out, turn off all of your notifications. Just get yourself some sanity, actually take a break. And in an ideal world, you have a secondary device and you can just close it and walk away. There will absolutely always be exceptions. Like, I know I touched on this earlier. As an executive assistant, my executive is the business owner. It's just the 2 of us. Something urgent almost always comes up on any given break, holiday, vacation, illness, whatever it is. It's a practice. This isn't something that I strive to be perfect at, fully unplugging from work. But it is something that I practice often, because the more that you practice at something, the better, hopefully, you become. My executive and I really respect each other's time out of the office as truly being time off, and really do our best to only message each other when something is truly urgent. Abby. Again, thank you so much for asking your question. askanassistant.com for anybody out there listening. Let me know if these tips helped and how your unplugging practice goes, whether it is over the holidays or your dream vacation that's hopefully soon on your horizon. If you would like to hear me talk more about unplugging, especially in service of actually taking time out of the office, I am co-hosting a session with Jeremy Burrows of the Leader Assistant podcast in January. Details on that session can be found in the show notes, and I will definitely talk about it again in January. Get out of here. Enjoy your time off. Find time to truly unplug, unwind. My favorite thing to do when I'm on vacation, Epsom salt baths. In an ideal world, I'd have a hot tub. Not there yet. Maybe someday. Maybe I'll just rent one someday, because I kind of wonder if a hot tub is kind of like a boat. Like the first best day is the day you get the hot tub, and the second best day is the day that you sell or get rid of the hot tub. I've had friends with hot tubs and they're a pain to maintain. So we'll see. But I do love a hot bath. Hot bath, hot tea, all of it. Unplug, unwind. I will see you again next week for one final episode of 2024 for Ask an Assistant. And until then, as always, take care.